Welcome back to Under Baobab Skies. Tonight, we journey deep into the Kalahari Desert, following the footsteps of the San, the original hunters of southern Africa. Beneath the endless sky, their world unfolds, not in cities or markets, but in the whispers of the wind across the sun-baked sands, the rustle of grasses under agile feet, and the heartbeat of life measured in patience, skill, and endurance. The Kalahari is a land of extremes. Heat ripples across the dunes by day, and the night brings cold that bites into even the warmest skins. Water is a treasure more precious than gold, and the hunt is a dance with creatures that are as dangerous as they are elusive. Every step, every breath carries the weight of survival, and every movement is a story passed down across countless generations. The San have learned to read the landscape as others read a page, and to listen to the earth as though it were speaking in secret tongues. As we settle under the stars, imagine the soft crackle of a fire, the smell of smoke mixing with the dry scent of the desert, and the quiet presence of those who have known this land for millennia. Tonight, we walk with them, seeing the world through their eyes, feeling the challenges of a day that would test even the strongest among us. By the end of this story, you'll understand not only the harshness of life as a Kalahari hunter, but also the resilience, cunning, and deep connection to the land that defines the San. And scattered acacia trees, a small fire flickering as a San hunter crouches nearby, silhouetted against the setting sun. Let's pause here for a moment. The fire crackles softly, and we rest beneath the stars. No script can do justice to the immensity of this sky, and no words can capture the peace that settles over one when the Milky Way stretches in all directions like a blanket of diamonds. It's a place where ancient stories come to life, where the spirits of ancestors are believed to walk freely among the eternal stars. Here, under this celestial expanse, worries and cares seem to shrink, and the silence isn't empty, but full of the wisdom of ages past. This is a place of dreams, of whispered secrets carried on the wind. It's a place to let go and to listen. So close your eyes, breathe in the scent of the desert night, and let the vastness of the universe envelop you. In this moment, we are part of something much bigger than ourselves, connected to the rhythm of the earth and the pulse of the cosmos. This is Under Baobab Skies, and under this endless sky, the San have thrived for thousands of years, reading the stars as they would an open book. But now, as the first fingers of dawn touch the horizon, it's time to awaken. For the San, the day stretches before them, a canvas of golden light and shifting shadows. It's a new opportunity, a chance to gather what they need to survive another day. And so they rise silently, with bodies attuned to the rhythm of the land. Each gesture, each careful placement of foot or hand carries centuries of accumulated knowledge. They move with purpose and caution, understanding that every rustle of grass, every broken twig, every distant hoofbeat could signal either success or danger. Hunting in the Kalahari is more than a livelihood. It is survival embedded in ritual and habit. The tracker's eyes are sharp, scanning for footprints invisible to the untrained gaze. Their ears pick out sounds that mingle with the wind. And above all, patience governs every action. A day that may seem quiet and empty is, in truth, full of calculation, anticipation, and quiet endurance. When the sun climbs higher, the trackers move into the heart of their domain. The landscape opens up into a sea of golden sand dunes, broken only by hardy shrubs and the occasional lone tree. The air shimmers with heat, and the only sounds are the crunch of their steps and the sigh of the wind. The tracker stops, his head turning slowly from left to right, taking in the panorama. He is looking for signs, tracks in the sand, broken vegetation, any indication of the prey they seek. For the San, the desert is not just a harsh environment, it is a living, breathing entity. Every rock monolith, every dried riverbed, every dune holds stories of the past and whispers secrets of the present. They move as one with the land, their bodies adapting to its rhythms, their senses attuned to its language. Their survival depends on this harmony, this deep connection to the Kalahari. And as we journey with them, we too begin to understand the magic of this place, the raw beauty of its emptiness, the poetry of its silence, and the profound wisdom etched into every grain of sand. By the end of this part, you'll understand why even a single day among the sand hunters demands so much of body, mind, and spirit. The Kalahari is a place that teaches humility through scarcity. Water is never guaranteed. It is sought with the same vigilance as prey. Hunters rise with the sun, aware that a lapse of attention could mean hours lost, or worse, life threatened. They move silently, tasting the air, scanning for movement, reading tracks older than yesterday, yet telling a story vital to survival. The desert offers no comfort. Sand scours bare feet, winds whip grit into eyes, and heat drains the strength of even the fittest. Tired muscles ache with the repetition of crouching, stalking, and running. And yet, every day begins again with the necessity of movement. Hunger is a constant companion, and the body adapts with remarkable efficiency to the demands of scarcity. Even a small misstep can undo hours of effort. This is more than a story about the San. It's a journey into the heart of the Kalahari, a testament to human resilience and a profound reflection on our relationship with the land. Join me as I explore this world and discover the stories that make us who we are. Even as children, sand boys and girls are taught the language of the land. They learn to read the tracks of animals, to identify the subtle signs of their presence, and to understand the messages the desert whispers on the wind. It's a knowledge that is woven into their daily lives, a skill that is as essential as the air they breathe. When the hunt is successful, there is celebration. Meat provides sustenance, but more importantly, it offers a temporary reprieve from the constant vigilance required for survival. Yet, the joy of the hunt is tempered by respect. The San understand that every creature has a role in the delicate balance of the ecosystem. There is no wanton waste. Every part of the animal is used, and nothing is discarded thoughtlessly. The skin becomes clothing, the bones are used for tools or adornment, and even the internal organs find a purpose. Nothing is wasted in this harsh environment where resources are scarce and every item is a potential asset. For the San people, the Kalahari is more than just a habitat. It's a teacher, a provider, and a challenge. In the face of adversity, they have learned to listen to its lessons, adapt to its rhythms, and respect its laws. Tracking prey is an art refined over generations. The San read the impressions left behind in the sand, understanding the movements, the age, and the behavior of the animal. They recognized the broken twigs, the scattered feathers, and even the subtle differences in footprints that mark the difference between a solitary animal and a group. Failure to interpret these signs can mean wasted energy or hunger. Success requires more than strength. It demands patience, keen observation, and the quiet confidence of someone who has lived intimately with the land. Water is life. In the Kalahari, it is both a necessity and a puzzle. The San have developed ingenious methods to find water, employing their knowledge of the land to locate hidden sources and predict the flow of underground water. They use special tools to sense the moisture in the sand and even follow the flight patterns of birds to locate waterholes. Without water, survival is impossible. The scarcity of water transforms the landscape into a treasure map, where every rock monolith, every clump of desert grass, and every sandy hollow holds the potential for life-giving moisture. The San become detectives of the desert, reading the subtle clues that nature provides. They study the direction of the sun, the play of light and shadow, the texture of the sand and the behavior of animals, all in the quest for water. Their bodies, attuned to the rhythm of the desert, begin to show signs of discomfort. But the San press on, driven by the primal need for hydration. Their steps slow, their movements become more deliberate, and the heat seems to press down with relentless intensity. Just when exhaustion threatens to overwhelm them, a cry rings out, a discovery, the first glimpse of water, a precious oasis in the sea of sand. The San, with the careful steps of those who have walked this path for generations, move towards the sound. As they approach, the sight before them is a testament to the tenacity of life. A pool of water, perhaps no larger than a man-made pool, shimmers in the distance. Around it, the thirsty earth drinks deeply, causing a small clump of grass to turn green and alive. This is not just water. It is hope, it is sustenance, and it is life. Reaching this waterhole is a victory, but it comes at a cost. The San are pushed to their physical and mental limits. The day stretches long under the unforgiving sun. Waterholes are rare, and the trek to them is long and perilous. Each hunter carries knowledge of multiple locations, hidden and often secret, which allow their group to survive. This knowledge is shared carefully, entrusted to those who have proven themselves capable. The Kalahari's harshness forges community and dependence on one another. Alone, survival is almost impossible. The horizon shimmers with heat, blurring the line between sky and earth. Time seems to slow, each hour an eternity under the blazing sun. Fatigue is not just a physical sensation, it's a constant companion. Muscles burn, throats are parched, and the very air seems to weigh heavy in the lungs. Yet the sand do not falter. They move with a determination born of necessity. Their bodies, honed by generations of living in harmony with the desert, find strength in the weakness. Their endurance is not just physical, it's a testament to the spirit that drives them, the will to survive, and the bond that unites them. The San have walked this land for millennia, their footsteps echoing the heartbeat of the earth. Their survival in this unforgiving terrain is a testament to their resilience, their resourcefulness, and their deep connection to the natural world. As the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the San finally reach their destination. The sight of water is a relief, a promise of respite, but their ordeal is far from over. Gathering water in the Kalahari is not just a task, it's a battle against the elements and a test of patience. The San, with their years of accumulated knowledge, begin the arduous process of collecting water. They choose the right containers, craft makeshift tools, and employ techniques passed down through generations. The setting sun casts long shadows, and the urgency of their task increases. As darkness falls, the temperature drops dramatically. Suddenly, the desert night, with its own set of dangers, descends upon them. The San, now chilled and weary, huddle around their meager fire, their thirst temporarily quenched, but their ordeal far from over. The desert night is filled with sounds, some familiar, some not. The nocturnal symphony of the Kalahari plays out around them, from the chirping of crickets to the distant call of an owl. The San, ever vigilant, are attuned to these sounds, able to decipher the language of the night. For in this vast expanse of darkness, every sound carries a message. Every rustle could be a predator, every chirp a potential omen. The fire, their lifeline against the encroaching darkness, begins to dwindle. The San, with their bodies aching and spirits weary, seek solace in the warmth of the flames. The dwindling fire is not just a source of light and heat, it's a symbol of their resilience. It flickers in the darkness, much like their hopes and dreams for a better tomorrow. The San, with their deep connection to the land, seem almost mythical in their ability to survive. They are the whisper in the wind, the shadow in the sand, the heartbeat of the Kalahari. Each evening, after a hard day's work, the San gather around their fire, sharing stories and songs that echo with the wisdom of their ancestors. These tales are not just entertainment, they are lessons in survival, courage, and unity. They speak of legendary hunters, of mythical creatures, and of the delicate balance that sustains life in the desert. The elders, with their faces etched with the stories of their lives, narrate these tales, their voices resonating with the crackling fire. The younger members of the community listen intently, absorbing not just the words, but the values and the lessons embedded in each story. The firelight dances in their eyes, reflecting the flickering flames and the wisdom they impart. As the night deepens, the desert cools, offering a brief respite from the oppressive heat. The stars emerge, unhindered by light pollution, to paint the night sky in a tapestry of twinkling diamonds. The San, with their ancient connection to the cosmos, recognize patterns in the constellations, finding guidance and solace in the celestial expanse above them. The Milky Way, stretching across the sky like a river of stars, is particularly significant. It is a reminder of the interconnectedness of all things, a symbol of the unity that binds the San to the universe and to each other. Looking up at the stars, the San contemplate their place in the grand scheme of existence. The vastness of the universe humbling them, reminding them of the fragility of life and the importance of community. In this moment of shared reflection, the San are not just survivors. They are storytellers, historians, and stargazers. They are keepers of tradition, culture, and the human spirit's indomitable will to understand and endure. The silence of the desert is profound, broken only by the crackling of the fire and the soft murmur of voices. The San, with their intimate knowledge of the land, have found a hidden oasis of tranquility in the heart of the Kalahari. The air is still, the temperature cooled by the embrace of night, and the vast expanse of stars above offers a canopy of twinkling lights. Under this celestial expanse, the San share stories, songs, and laughter, creating a bubble of warmth and camaraderie. The flickering firelight paints dancing shadows on their faces, highlighting the lines etched by time and hardship, but also the smiles that come easy around their own. Their voices, carrying the music of their heritage, blend with the sounds of the desert night, creating a harmonious melody that speaks of resilience and unity. The Kalahari, though harsh and unforgiving during the day, transforms into a realm of peace and reflection at night. It's a place where the challenges recede and the quiet strength of community takes center stage. In the heart of the Kalahari Desert, where the sun beats down relentlessly and the sand stretches as far as the eye can see, there existed a people known as the San. Their lives were a testament to endurance, a silent symphony of survival played out under the harsh sun and punctuated by the quiet crunch of footsteps on dry, parched earth. The hunger of the Kalahari was not only an emptiness of the stomach, but a shaping force of life itself. Among the San, it was not enough to simply survive. One had to endure with dignity, and often through ritual. Hunger became a teacher, an ever-present reminder that the body must bend to the will of the desert. When food was scarce, the San turned to ritual discipline. The community would gather around a fire, and the elders would remind the young. A hunter without patience is already dead. To hunt while hungry, to walk for miles on weakened legs, to press forward even when the stomach burned. These were not just acts of survival, but acts of training the soul. In the discipline of hunger, the San saw the sharpening of the spirit. But hunger was not always endured quietly. There were moments when it pressed upon the mind like a storm. In the harshest seasons, when tubers dried and animals were thin, desperation crept close. Families would go to sleep on empty stomachs, children whimpering into the night. In these times, fear walked alongside hunger, the fear that one might not wake the next morning. And in whispers, the community would speak of sacrifice, the idea that one must give so that others may live. It is within this profound relationship between humanity and nature that we find the crux of the San's existence. While their lifestyle might seem extreme and alien to many of us, their philosophy of living in harmony with the environment holds profound lessons for our times. In the unforgiving terrain of the Kalahari, where every step was a negotiation with thirst and hunger, the San people developed a deep understanding of their ecosystem. They knew the subtle signs of the desert, the secret language of plants and animals, and the rhythms of the land that dictated their every move. This intimate knowledge allowed them to extract sustenance from the most arid of landscapes, to find water in the most barren of places, and to hunt with an efficiency that bordered on the mystical. But their connection to the environment went beyond mere practicality. It was a spiritual bond. The San saw themselves as part of the Kalahari, not as its conqueror. They understood that their survival depended on the health of the desert and its inhabitants, and they lived accordingly. Their rituals, their dances, and their very way of being were all a part of this grand design, a testament to the beauty and power of living in harmony with nature. Yet their existence was not without its challenges. As the world changed around them, as the demands of the modern world encroached upon their ancient way of life, the San found themselves caught between two worlds, the familiar comfort of their traditions and the harsh realities of a changing world. But despite these challenges, their spirit remained unbroken. In the face of adversity, they held fast to their beliefs, their customs, and their age-old practices, becoming a beacon of hope and resilience in a changing world. To truly understand the San and their unique way of life, we must delve deep into the fabric of their society, exploring the intricate patterns that connect them to their environment and to each other. At the heart of the San culture was a profound respect for life in all its forms. This reverence for life extended from the smallest insect to the mightiest elephant, recognizing the interconnectedness of all living things. This belief system shaped not only their relationship with the natural world, but also their interactions with each other, fostering a sense of community and interdependence that was crucial to their survival. Their social structure was one of equality and cooperation, with decisions often made through consensus and resources shared among members of the community. This egalitarian ethos ensured that no one went hungry, and that the burden of providing for the community was shared by all. Women and men had equal status, with both genders contributing essential skills and knowledge to the group's survival. Women gathered berries and herbs, while men hunted game. However, these roles were not rigid, but fluid, adapting to the needs of the community and the demands of the environment. Religion played a pivotal role in the San's worldview. They believed in a supreme being that permeated all of existence, as well as a pantheon of lesser spirits that inhabited the natural world. This animistic belief system led to a deep sense of responsibility toward the environment, as they saw themselves as part of a larger spiritual whole. Their religious practices, often involving trance dances and rituals, were not just a means of communicating with the spirit world, but also a way of maintaining harmony with it. These dances were not mere performances, but acts of devotion, a physical and spiritual connection to the unseen forces that governed their lives. Language was another critical aspect of San culture. Their language, with its clicks and whistles, was more than a means of communication. It was a reflection of their worldview. The click consonants, unique to Koko and several other Khoi-San languages, are thought to be some of the oldest sounds in human language, echoing perhaps the very beginnings of human speech. This linguistic heritage became a symbol of their identity, a testament to their ancient roots and their unique place in the tapestry of human cultures. The San, therefore, were not merely survivors in the harsh environment of the Kalahari. They were thriving members of a complex web of life. Their existence was a testament to the adaptability and resilience of the human spirit, their reverence for life, their egalitarian social structure, their animistic beliefs, and their unique language all contributed to their survival and gave meaning to their lives in the face of the unforgiving Kalahari. In the stark landscape of the Kalahari Desert, where survival hung in the balance and the relentless sun beat down on the endless sand dunes, the San people stood as a beacon of resilience. Their story is a testament to the unbreakable bonds of family and the profound connection between humanity and the natural world. As we come to the end of their story, let us take a moment to reflect on the lessons they offer us. Lessons about courage, adaptation, and the sanctity of life. Their story reminds us that even in the harshest of environments, life finds a way to not only survive, but to thrive. It is a story of quiet strength, of the human spirit's ability to endure and adapt in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges. It is a narrative that echoes the importance of respecting and preserving our planet's delicate balance, reminding us that our survival, too, depends on the health of the ecosystems we inhabit. The San teach us that true strength comes not from dominating nature, but from living in harmony with it. They show us that even in the most desolate landscapes, life finds a way to flourish. Their story is a call to action, urging us to protect and preserve the natural world that sustains us, and to honor the indigenous wisdom that has safeguarded it for generations. Let their legacy inspire us to be better stewards of our planet and more empathetic towards those who share it with us. As the sun sets over the Kalahari, casting long shadows over the ancient dunes, let us carry with us the lessons of the San, the quiet heroes of the desert. Their story is a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity, a reminder of our capacity for resilience, adaptation, and above all, survival. If hunger and fear were the harsh teachers of the Kalahari, then resilience was the San's quiet reply. Life in this desert demanded more than strength. It demanded imagination, patience, and an intimacy with the land so deep it became second nature. A hunter did not only look for tracks, he read them like words on a page. Each faint indentation in the sand told a story. An antelope moving slowly meant it was weak. A spring hare darting meant water lay somewhere nearby. To live in the Kalahari was to constantly adapt, to listen to whispers that others would miss. This was not survival by force, but survival by knowledge. And so we find ourselves in a world where even the most basic needs are not given, but must be coaxed, where every advantage is hard-earned, and where wisdom becomes the sharpest tool. Our hunter, let's call him Toko, moves through this world with an understanding born of necessity. His senses are finely tuned to the subtlest signs, his knowledge of the land extensive and deep. He does not merely hunt animals, he reads the language of the earth itself. In this vast emptiness, a spring hare's leap becomes a message, an invitation to follow. And Toko, attuned to these signs, can decipher the desert's cryptic messages. He sees omens everywhere, in the flight of birds, in the play of light and shadow, even in the shifting sands. These are not superstitions, but a way of understanding a world that offers few certainties. When the land speaks, he listens, and when it whispers of water, he follows the sound. Adaptation showed itself in small details, the way ostrich eggshells were hollowed, sealed, and carried as precious water flasks, the way plants were tested for roots that could be chewed into moisture, the way fire was coaxed from wood and stone in moments of desperation. The San carried the desert not as an enemy, but as a partner, harsh, unforgiving, but also filled with secrets for those who knew where to look. They were masters of their environment, not because they dominated it, but because they understood it intimately. Toko's bow is as familiar to him as his own arm. He knows its weight, its balance, its strength. Just as he knows the habits of the animals he pursues, he understands the subtle flecks of the reed, the whisper of the wind through the grass, the sigh of the desert wind. In these whispers, he finds clues to his quarry's whereabouts. His senses, honed by years of living in this harsh environment, pick up the subtlest of signs. A broken twig, a feather out of place, a scar on a tree, each tells a story. Each holds a piece of the puzzle that is the desert's intricate design. The San children are taught to track, to read the signs, to understand the language of the land. They learn to identify animal tracks, to follow a trail, to read the messages left behind by those who have passed. It's not just about finding food or avoiding danger. It's about understanding the rhythm of the world they inhabit. And as they grow older, this understanding becomes second nature. But tracking is not just about following footprints. It's about reading the land itself. It's about seeing how the terrain changes, how the plants respond to the environment, how the animals adapt to survive. It's about piecing together the story of a place so that you can become part of it, so that you can live in harmony with it. And this is what the San people have done for generations. They have read the land, understood its rhythms, and lived in balance with it. Their very survival has depended on it. Their resilience was tested daily, not just by the elements, but by the scarcity of resources, the constant need to adapt, the ever-present threat of change. But they endured. They adapted. They learned to live with the challenges thrown at them, turning hardship into wisdom and turning necessity into innovation. Their dances, their stories, their shared meals, however small, bound them to one another. Even the desert, in its cruelty, gave something back. The stars above stretched endless and brilliant, a reminder that though life was fleeting, beauty still endured. Endurance, too, was not just physical, it was a state of mind. Children were taught from an early age to walk long distances, to laugh even when tired, to see hardship as part of the story of being human. Around the fires, tales of ancestors who had endured worse seasons reminded everyone that they were not alone. Suffering was never wasted. It became a thread woven into the fabric of community memory. For the San, the ability to endure is not just a means to an end, it's a way of life. They understand that hardship and resilience are intertwined, that one cannot exist without the other. They have learned to embrace the challenges of their environment, turning them into opportunities for growth, strength, and unity. They have learned that true endurance is not just about enduring the present. It's also about carrying the lessons of the past and sharing them with the future. And so they tell their stories around the fire, stories of those who have endured before them, stories of loss and survival, of hardship and hope. These stories are not just tales of the past, they are a source of strength for the present and a guide for the future. They remind the San that they are part of a long lineage of survivors, that they have the strength to endure whatever challenges come their way, and that they are not alone in their struggles. When Toko sits around the fire with his people, listening to the stories of his ancestors, he is not just listening to words. He is connecting to a legacy of strength, a legacy of endurance, a legacy of the human spirit. He is remembering that he is not just a hunter, he is a storyteller, a keeper of traditions, a link in the chain of his people's history. He is remembering that he is not just enduring the present, he is carrying the hopes and dreams of his ancestors into the future. Let's pause here for a moment. The fire has burned low, and the desert hums softly around us. Resilience, adaptation, and endurance were not optional in the Kalahari. They were the very essence of life. The San survived not by bending the desert to their will, but by learning to bend themselves in harmony with its rhythm. And in that, they revealed a kind of strength the modern world often forgets. The power to endure with grace, even in the face of endless struggle. This is a story about the San people, their incredible resilience in the face of the harshest environments, their intimate knowledge of the Kalahari Desert, and the importance of preserving their culture and traditions. The sun beats down on the endless expanse of sand, creating a world of stark beauty and brutal realities. For those who call the Kalahari Desert home, life is a constant battle against hunger and thirst. Yet amidst this seemingly barren landscape, a rich tapestry of culture and spirituality unfolds. This is a story of resilience, adaptation, and the indomitable spirit of humanity in the face of nature's harshest challenges. Welcome to our channel, your place for the most mesmerizing stories from around the globe. Join us as we take you on an extraordinary journey through the lives of the San people, the indigenous inhabitants of the Kalahari. In today's episode, we will delve into a world where every rock monolith stands as a silent sentinel, guarding ancient secrets, and where the very essence of existence is intertwined with the rhythms of the desert. So sit back, relax, and let the magic of the Kalahari unfold before your eyes. To the San, the desert was not empty. It was not a place of nothing. It was full of everything. Every tree, every stone, every gust of wind carried a spirit. The Kalahari was not only a place of hunger and struggle, it was also a sacred stage where humans and the unseen world met in constant conversation. Their spirituality was not locked away in temples or hidden scrolls. It was written across the sand, sung in the night, and danced into the air until the stars themselves seemed to tremble. For the San, to live was to be in relationship with ancestors, with animals, with the very breath of the earth. And at the heart of this relationship lay the healing dance. On long nights, when sickness or despair threatened the community, the people would gather in a circle. Women clapped and sang rhythmic chants, their voices rising and falling like the wind over dunes. Men moved into the center, stamping the earth, circling the fire, their breath growing louder with each step. As the rhythm deepened, something shifted. Dancers entered a state the San called Kia, a trance where the spirit traveled beyond the body. In this place of fire and song, healers claimed they could touch the threads that bound the world together. Pulling sickness away, carrying prayers to the ancestors and returning with new strength for the living. This trance was not only healing, it was a bridge. It connected the present to the past, the living to the departed, and the small circle of the campfire to the vast circle of the stars. It was proof that the San's survival was not just about food or water, it was also about spirit. Without this deep connection, the harshness of the Kalahari would have been unbearable. Let's pause here for a moment. The fire crackles softly, and the desert air cools our skin. The voices fade into the night, but their echo lingers in our chest like a heartbeat. As the embers glow, we see not just dancing bodies, but stories unfolding. Each step, each clap, each whispered chant weaves a narrative as old as time. They are stories of survival, of connection, of a people whose spirits soar even as their bodies traverse the sands. Imagine the thrill of discovering these stories firsthand, of feeling the heartbeat of the desert beneath your own 2 feet. That's exactly what awaits you at our travel experience. Now let us return to the captivating tales of the San people under the star-studded sky of the Kalahari. For the San, the night sky was not just a spectacle. It was a map, a calendar, and a conversation with the divine. The stars weren't distant suns. They were guides, witnesses, and companions. Every constellation had a story, every shooting star a message. And the more one observed, the deeper the understanding of the cosmos and one's place within it. For instance, the Southern Cross wasn't just a pretty pattern of stars. It was a compass pointing true south. It helped the San navigate the vast emptiness, ensuring they always knew how to find their way back home. But it wasn't just about practicality. It was also about reverence. The San saw the stars not as distant, cold and lifeless, but as vibrant, close and communicative. They believed that their spirits could reach out and touch the stars, and in turn, the stars would listen, understand, and respond. This dialogue between earth and sky wasn't a one-way street. Just as the San looked up to the stars for guidance, they also offered their own prayers, stories, and songs to the heavens. It was a way of giving thanks, asking for help, and most importantly, of building a relationship with the divine. This deep connection with the celestial realm didn't exist in isolation. It was woven into every aspect of San life. The stars influenced their daily activities, their agricultural practices, and their social customs. For example, certain stars dictated when it was time to plant or harvest. Others guided ceremonies and rituals. The birth of a child was celebrated under the light of the full moon, and marriages were often arranged according to the positions of certain constellations. To truly understand the San's relationship with the stars, one must appreciate the context of their lives. The Kalahari Desert, their primary habitat, is a place of extremes. The scorching sun, the unpredictable rainfall, and the constant struggle for survival made it essential for the San to develop a profound understanding of the natural world. In this harsh environment, the stars became a source of stability, a constant rhythm in an ever-changing landscape. The star-based knowledge wasn't just passed down through generations by word of mouth. It was deeply ingrained in their cultural practices, traditions, and art forms. Cave paintings depicting animals and celestial bodies serve as tangible evidence of this connection. These ancient artworks, some dating back thousands of years, show not just the San's understanding of the natural world, but also their desire to communicate with it. By placing human figures alongside animals and stars, the San artists showed a world where humans were not separate from nature, but an integral part of it. It's important to remember that the San's relationship with the stars wasn't static. It evolved and adapted just as they did. Over centuries, their observations became more refined, their understanding deeper. They didn't just accept what they saw in the sky. They questioned it, analyzed it, and incorporated new knowledge into their existing beliefs. This process of continuous evolution allowed their understanding of the cosmos to grow, making it an integral part of their cultural identity. Their intimate knowledge of the stars turned the night sky into a personal space, a place where the boundaries between Earth and heaven blurred. It was as if the stars themselves reached down to touch the lives of the Sand People, making their existence richer, their struggles lighter, and their spirits free. Now, let's move to our main topic of the day. The Kalahari Desert, a vast expanse of golden dunes and rugged terrain, is home to a rich diversity of wildlife. Despite the harsh conditions, the Kalahari teems with life, from the iconic desert elephant to the elusive brown hyena. The Sand People, with their deep connection to the land, have a profound understanding and respect for all living beings. Their traditional lifestyle as hunters and gatherers has fostered a symbiotic relationship with the environment. The San possess extensive knowledge of medicinal plants and herbs, which they use to treat various ailments. Their understanding of animal behavior and tracking enables them to sustain themselves through hunting and gathering. Moreover, they play a crucial role in maintaining the ecological balance of the desert by controlling animal populations and preserving biodiversity. However, the Kalahari's ecosystem faces numerous threats, including habitat loss due to human encroachment, climate change, and poaching. The San communities are actively involved in conservation efforts to protect the delicate balance of this fragile environment. They work tirelessly to preserve their cultural heritage and protect the wildlife that shares their homeland. The Kalahari Desert is not merely a backdrop for the San People. It is an integral part of their cultural identity. The desert's harsh beauty shapes their traditions, beliefs, and way of life. The San's deep connection to the land and their sustainable practices are a testament to the harmony that can exist between humans and the natural world. By understanding and respecting this connection, we can learn from the San People and appreciate the importance of preserving both their cultural heritage and the biodiversity of the Kalahari Desert for future generations. As the stars twinkled above, the San gathered around their campfires, sharing stories and laughter, their voices echoing the wisdom of their ancestors. Their resilience and adaptability in the face of the desert's challenges serve as an inspiration to us all. The San People are not merely survivors. They are cultural treasures, their lives a rich tapestry of tradition, spirituality, and harmony with nature. Their existence reminds us of the strength and wisdom that can be found in the simplest of lives, lived in the most inhospitable of landscapes. So, the next time you gaze up at the stars, remember the San People of the Kalahari, whose lives are as boundless and beautiful as the desert sky above them. When the trance deepened, when the heartbeat matched the rhythm of clapping hands, when the fire's warmth and the desert's chill fused into one, that doorway opened. The healer stepped through. In that moment, the healer was no longer just a person. They became a bridge between worlds, a conduit of power, a vessel of stories yet to be told. Their cries, their trembling, their sudden collapse to the earth were signs that they had crossed into the world beyond. There, they spoke with ancestors, touched the shadow of illness, and brought back healing power. A vast expanse of stars stretches above the Kalahari Desert, a canvas of endless mystery. The flickering flames of a fire dance below, casting long shadows that twist and turn like spirits themselves. Around the fire, a circle of people stand, their faces painted with ochre, their eyes reflecting the firelight and the hypnotic movements of the dance. In the center of the circle, the healer collapses, their body trembling, their cries echoing the eternal dialogue between worlds. Above, the spirits descend, unseen, yet their presence felt in the rustling of the wind, the whispering of the leaves. They reach out to the healer, drawing their spirits skyward on a thread of pure energy. It is a perilous journey, a climb into the unknown, where the air grows thin and the path treacherous. The spirits test the healer, dousing them with freezing cold, then engulfing them in searing heat, challenging their courage, their strength and their resolve. Each sob, each gasp is a testament to the battle raging within. Yet the healer persists, driven by an ancient calling, a dedication to their craft and a love for their people. With every fiber of their being, they reach for the heavens, their spirit soaring ever higher. Below, the circle watches, their voices weaving a protective net of sound around the healer. Each clap, each chant, each voice an anchor to the physical world, a lifeline to the struggling spirit. They sing of bravery, of resilience, of the sacred duty that binds healer and community. And as the climax approaches, the desert night thunders with their united voices. The spirits hovering above sense the strength of the connection, the unwavering support that binds the healer to their roots. Recognizing the depth of the healer's commitment, they offer their most precious gifts, the very essence of healing, the power to mend, to restore, to rejuvenate. The gifts received, the healer's spirit descends, returning to the earthly realm, now fortified with celestial power, as their body trembles, not in defeat, but in the throes of transformation. The crowd gasps, their own breaths catching in their throats, for they know that within that trembling lies the fate of their community's health, their very survival. The healer rises, their face etched with the solemnity of their journey, their eyes shining with the wisdom of ages past. Slowly, methodically, they begin to sway, their movements echoing the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. And as they move, the power of the spirits courses through them, mending, restoring, rejuvenating. The circle watches, mesmerized, as the healer becomes a conduit of transformation. Each step, each gesture, each word is imbued with newfound power. And when the healer is finished, there is a profound hush. It is a moment of anticipation, of hope, of faith in the healing that has transpired. And so the story unfolds under the watchful gaze of the desert sky, where the realms of the living and the ancestral intertwine, where the pulse of the earth beats in harmony with the rhythm of life. And we are left contemplating the profound connection between the human spirit and the mysteries of the universe. The journey was dangerous. The sand described it as climbing a thread of light into the sky, where spirits tested the traveler with trials of fire and cold. If the healer's courage faltered, they might not return. And so the community carried them with song. Each clap, each chant, each voice anchoring the traveler, reminding them of the circle waiting below. The healer's trembling body, sweating under the desert night, was not weakness, but a sign of battle. They fought not with spears, but with spirit. They wrestled with sickness, with despair, with forces unseen, yet deeply felt. The rhythmic clapping of hands intermingled with the hypnotic beat of drums, creating a powerful backdrop for the unfolding drama. The healer's moans blend with the music, expressing the turmoil of their inner struggle. Each cry echoes the pain they endure, not with flesh and blood, but with the essence of their being. The air grows thick with tension as the battle rages within the healer. Their body convulses, a physical manifestation of the war between the forces of darkness and light. But amidst the struggle, there is a strange beauty, a raw, primal energy that connects the healer to the ancient rhythms of the earth. The very essence of survival pulses through their veins, driving them forward in the face of despair. As the climax approaches, the music reaches a fever pitch, a crescendo of sound that mirrors the intensity of the struggle. The rhythmic chanting becomes a mantra, a rallying cry that empowers the healer to push through the darkness. Suddenly, the music shifts, transforming from a battle cry to a hymn of triumph. The drums pound with a newfound vigor, the clapping intensifies, and the chants take on a celebratory tone. In unison, they sing of victory, of resilience, of the triumph of the spirit over the darkness. The healer, invigorated by the communal support, surges forward, their cries now charged with newfound power. The darkness recedes before them, and a surge of energy flows through their veins. The battle is not over, but the tide has turned, and there is hope on the horizon. The community sings on, their voices blending with the healers, creating a chorus of strength and solidarity. Together, they are a force to be reckoned with, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit in the face of adversity. When the healer rose again, breath ragged, eyes wide, as if they had seen another horizon, the people leaned closer. Some spoke of a power radiating from them, a heat that could burn away sickness. Others said they carried the coolness of rain, a gift of relief in a land where thirst ruled. The healer's chest rises, their breath returning, and the circle sighing in unison, as if all had been carried to the spirit world and back together. Children watch with wide, innocent eyes, their small hands clutching the elders' skirts, eager to understand the unfolding drama. The healer, still weak from their ordeal, slowly begins to regain their strength. With each inhale, they draw in the desert night, filling their lungs with the scent of sage and sand. Their eyes, now clear and focused, reflect the wisdom gained from their journey into the spirit realm. The people lean closer, captivated by the healer's every move. Whispers ripple through the crowd as they observe the subtle changes in the healer's demeanor, their tone hushed with reverence and awe. Some speak of an otherworldly glow surrounding the healer, a tangible aura of power and healing. Others notice the intensity in the healer's gaze, as though they have returned with eyes that can pierce the veils of reality. As the healer stands taller, gathering their strength, the firelight dances in their eyes, illuminating the depths of their experience. The people watch, mesmerized, as the healer, now fortified with celestial power, prepares to share their gifts with the community. This thin veil between life and spirit was not fantasy for the San, it was daily truth. To hunt was to risk, to heal was to struggle, and to dance was to blur the boundaries of flesh and eternity. Through trance, they affirmed what the desert itself whispered. Survival required both body and spirit. And in every dance, in every ritual, they renewed the bond. Humans standing fragile before the infinite, yet never alone. As the first rays of dawn touch the horizon, painting the desert sky with hues of rose and gold, the San community disperses, carrying with them the echoes of the healing dance. The healer, now restored and rejuvenated, steps back into the everyday world, their spirit soaring with the wisdom of the ages. The memory of their journey lingers in the air, a reminder of the delicate balance between life and spirit, between flesh and eternity. The desert, silent and stoic, witnesses the profound connection between humanity and the cosmos, a connection that transcends the boundaries of the physical world. And as the sun ascends to its zenith, the rhythm of life continues, sustained by the healing touch of the dance and the enduring bonds of community. There are no written records of when they started, only memories carried by the oldest bodies in the tribe. Stories passed around crackling fires that keep the flames of tradition burning bright even today. And the story starts like this. The sand did not dance alone. The trance was never just the healer's journey. It was the community's shared heartbeat. Every clap, every foot pounding the earth, Every voice lifted into the night became part of a greater body, a body made of many, yet moving as one. In these circles, pain was carried together. Illness was not just one person's burden, but a weight the whole band lifted. When the healer shivered, others pressed hands to their back, lending strength. When the fire flared, its light fell on all faces equally, binding them in warmth and trust. Now, if you have ever seen a traditional night dance, you would know what I mean. But if you haven't, let me try to paint the picture for you. Imagine a clearing, bathed in moonlight, a circle of firelight dancing in time with the flickering shadows. Inside this ring of light, figures sway, twist, and stomp, their bodies telling stories older than time. There are no musical instruments, no microphones, only the percussive power of footsteps on bare earth and the rhythmic pulse of voices chanting in unison. The beat is hypnotic, drawing you in, making you want to move, to clap your hands and stomp your feet in time with the dancers. And then someone steps forward, a healer possessed by an unseen force. Their movements become sharper, more intense, their eyes rolling upward as if gazing at something beyond the firelight. They shake, they tremble, they convulse, releasing something primal, something wild, something deeply, deeply human. All the while, the rest of the dancers maintain their hypnotic sway, their bodies forming a protective circle around the trembling healer. Occasionally, a hand is reached out, a word spoken, and then the shaking stops and the possessed healer collapses, leaning heavily on the supporting arms of the community. Then slowly, oh, so slowly, they begin to rise, to walk, to stand tall once more, their eyes now clear and shining with the light of healing. In this dance, the individual becomes one with the collective. Strength is drawn from the group. Solace is found in numbers. When the going gets tough, the San stand in a circle and dance it out. But that's not all. This dance reaches far beyond the present moment. It's a conversation across time, a dialogue with the ancestors, a communion with the spirits of the land. For the San, life is not just about what's happening right here, right now. It's about what has always been and what will continue to be. They believe that the veil between the physical world and the spirit world is thinnest during the night dances. So when they spin and sway beneath the stars, they are not just expressing themselves. They are connecting with something much bigger, much older, much wiser. You see, the San believe that the land they inhabit, the Kalahari Desert, is alive, breathing, feeling. It's not just sand and stones and scrubby bushes. It's a living, breathing entity filled with spirits and souls of their ancestors, with the spirits of animals and plants, with the very essence of their culture and history. These spirits are not distant, cold, unfeeling deities. They are close, intimately connected to the lives of the San. They are the guides, the protectors, the teachers, the storytellers. They are the memory of the San people. When a San healer enters into the trance state during a night dance, they don't just become possessed by a spirit. They become a channel for the spirit. They become a living embodiment of the ancestral knowledge, the tribal history, the cultural wisdom. Through the healer, the spirits speak, move, and teach. The dance becomes a conversation between the physical world and the spiritual world, between the living and the dead. And this conversation is not a one-way street. The spirits impart their wisdom, their guidance, their healing touch. But the San people also have something to offer. They bring their respect, their love, their gratitude. They bring their stories, their songs, their dances. They bring their very souls. In a way, the night dances are like checkpoints along the river of time. Each dance connects the San people to their past, to their roots, to the very soul of their being. It's a way of ensuring that the wisdom of the ages, the lessons learned by their ancestors, The stories that have shaped their identity are not lost but carried forward. It's a way of honoring the dead, of making sure that the spirits of those who have gone before continue to guide and protect those who remain. But the importance of these dances goes beyond the spiritual realm. They are also a source of practical knowledge, a repository of skills and information that have been honed over thousands of years. The San people are some of the most skilled trackers and hunters in the world. Their knowledge of the natural world is so vast and intricate that it borders on the magical. And much of this knowledge is transmitted through the night dances. As the spirits move through the healers, they impart their wisdom, their insights, their understanding of the natural world. The San people listen, they learn, they internalize, and then they carry that knowledge into their daily lives. This is especially important in a harsh environment like the Kalahari Desert, where survival depends on a deep understanding of the land. But perhaps the most important thing that the night dancers teach the San people is the importance of community, of togetherness, of unity. In a world that often feels isolating, individualistic, competitive, the night dances are a reminder of the power of the collective, the strength that comes from unity, the healing that occurs through shared experience. When the San people gather in a circle and dance, they are not just entertaining themselves, they are creating a bond, forging a connection that transcends the physical, that reaches into the spiritual, that binds them together as a community, as a people, as a family. They are reminding themselves that they are not alone, that they are part of something bigger than themselves, that they are connected to something ancient, something enduring, something eternal. Let me tell you another story. Once upon a time, long ago, there was a great divide in the San community. Two halves of the tribe couldn't see eye to eye. Suspicions had festered into open arguments. Jealousies had hardened into open hostility. It seemed as though the bond that had held them together for generations was fraying, threatening to tear the community apart. The healers of the tribe, wise in the ways of nature and spirit, knew that something had to be done to heal the rift before it grew too wide to bridge. So they called for a night dance, a dance not just to bring the community together, but to remind them of their shared history, their common values, their intertwined destinies. As the night deepened and the fire crackled, the San people joined hands in a circle, their faces etched with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. At first, the dance was tentative. Some steps were hesitant, some voices were uncertain, some smiles strained. But as the rhythm took hold and the trance deepened, something remarkable happened. The discord of the day faded away and the music of the night swelled. The San people swayed and stomped, their bodies moving as one, their voices blending in harmony. They remembered stories of their ancestors, the trials they had endured, the victories they had won, the wisdom they had gained. They recalled the deep bond they shared with the land, the Kalahari Desert, and with each other. Hours passed and the dance continued. The San people laughed, they cried, they embraced. By the end of the night, the hostility was gone, replaced by a renewed sense of community, a deeper sense of belonging. The night dance had healed the divide, mended the broken bond, and reminded them of their shared humanity. From generation to generation, the wisdom of the night dance has been passed down. The San people continue to gather in circles beneath the vast African sky, to dance, to heal, to connect. And with each dance, the story of survival and unity is written anew on the sands of time. Now, I invite you to do something. Close your eyes, lean back, and imagine yourself in a secluded clearing under the cloak of a star-studded night. You can almost feel the dry desert wind against your skin. Hear the crackling of a nearby fire and the murmur of voices raised in song. You sense a deep connection with the land and with the people around you. This is the gift of the night dance, a reminder that we are all connected, all part of something larger than ourselves. It's an invitation to find unity in diversity, strength in community, and healing in rhythm. It's a testament to the human spirit's ability to endure, to adapt, and to thrive even in the harshest of environments. It's a celebration of life, of death, and the eternal dance between them. It's a tribute to the San people and their night dance, a ritual that has endured for millennia, a ritual that continues to thrive, and a ritual that reminds us of our shared humanity. The Kalahari San were not only hunters of the veldt and keepers of trance, they were also painters, etching their spirit into stone walls and cave ceilings. These images, some thousands of years old, stand as living echoes of a worldview where the seen and unseen braided together. Rock art for the San was not decoration. It was memory, myth, prayer, and a vessel for stories too sacred to fade into ordinary speech. When a hunter's body bent beneath the strain of a trance dance, his spirit might leap across worlds. Upon returning, what he had seen, the great eland, the snake of the rain, the dancers merging with stars, was captured not in words alone, but in pigment on stone, ochre ground from earth, fat melted from hunted animals, and brushes made from porcupine quills or feathers gave shape to visions. Every stroke carried the weight of ritual, every image a reminder that life was always poised between survival and spirit. And today we begin our journey into the heart of Africa's ancient rock art, where the whispers of a bygone era still resonates through millennia. Our story starts with the very essence of the San people, their deep connection to the rhythm of the earth and the pulse of the cosmos. They were known as the Bushman, the San, the Koko, among many other names, and they have walked this land for tens of thousands of years. Their lives were a dance with nature, reading the subtle signs left by animals and tracking their movements across the vast plains. But their bond with the natural world went far beyond practicality. It was spiritual. They saw the land not just as a provider, but as a living entity, a source of culture, identity, and magic. This is why, when we talk about the San people, it's crucial to see them not as isolated individuals, but as threads woven into the rich tapestry of the Kalahari Desert. By painting the eland, the San called upon its power. The eland, soft-hooved yet mighty, was more than meat for the pot. It was a spiritual companion, often at the center of trance journeys. Its blood and sweat were believed to hold potency that bound hunters, healers, and ancestors together. Now, picture a lone hunter returning from a day's pursuit, not just with game, but with stories of the spirit world. He washes the eland's blood and sweat, not away, but into small containers. These are not mere trophies. They are talismans. Each drop holds a fragment of the journey, a link to the unseen. Later, around a flickering fire, with the night sky spread like a vast canvas above them, he gathers his community. There is a hush as he begins to paint. His hands, guided by a trance, move across the rock surface. Each stroke is a prayer, a plea, a promise. He is not just depicting the animal, he's invoking its spirit. In doing so, he doesn't just record the hunt. He cements a bond, ensuring the eland's essence remains tethered to their lives. This is how the rock paintings were born, not as static pictures, but as portals to the spirit realm. And those who understood how to read them became interpreters of the unseen, weaving the worlds of the physical and the spiritual into one. Rock walls became shrines where memory was not passive but alive. Generations could sit before these painted surfaces and know that the figures on stone were windows to the past and bridges to the sacred. Now let us shift our focus from the act of painting to the very essence of what was being painted, the subjects that held such profound significance for the San communities. Among these, the eland stands out not just as a creature of the physical world, but as a conduit to the spiritual. The eland was more than prey. It was a totem, a symbol of the harmony and balance the San sought to live in. By painting the eland, the San didn't just commemorate a successful hunt. They affirmed their connection to the life force that coursed through all living beings. The eland, with its strength and grace, represented the ideal they aspired to embody, both in their daily lives and in their spiritual practices. But the San's artistic expressions didn't stop at the eland. They also depicted other animals and figures that were integral to their cosmology. Each creature and design had its own language, its own story, its own role in the intricate web of beliefs and practices that defined their way of life. For instance, there were the human-like figures, the representations of ancestral spirits and powerful beings from their myths and legends. These figures served as reminders of their heritage, their lineage, and the spiritual forces that guided and protected them. Then there were the geometric patterns and abstract designs that adorned many rock art sites. Far from being mere decoration, these patterns were believed to hold a kind of spiritual energy, a visual representation of the unseen forces that shaped their world. They were not just observers of the world, they were active participants in a grand cosmic dance. Their rock art serves as a testament to this belief, a visual echo of their intimate connection with the universe and its mysteries. Next, let's explore the settings in which these rock art masterpieces were created. The San weren't just concerned with what they painted, but also where they painted it. The choice of location was as important as the images themselves, imbuing them with an added layer of meaning and power. Natural shelters like caves, overhangs, and rock crevices were their preferred spots. These weren't just convenient spots to protect the paintings from the elements. They were, in fact, seen as thresholds between the physical and spiritual realms. By painting within these spaces, the San effectively created altars where the boundaries between the seen and unseen were at their thinnest. Moreover, these locations were often chosen for their acoustic properties. The echoing chambers amplified the sound of their voices and chants, making the act of painting a communal and ritualistic experience. The synergy of sound and image further blurred the lines between the physical and spiritual, creating an immersive environment where the spirits could be invoked and appeased. Now, let's consider the tools they used to bring these images to life. The San weren't blessed with sophisticated tools, but what they lacked in technology they made up for in ingenuity. They used natural pigments, ochres ground from local minerals, mixed with animal fat as a binder to make paints that were as durable as they were beautiful. Brushes were fashioned from porcupine quills or feathers, giving them the precision to create fine lines and intricate details. These materials weren't just functional, they were symbolic, too. The use of natural pigments, for example, connected them directly to the land, reminding them that their art was an integral part of the environment they inhabited. Similarly, the porcupine quills, with their sharp, delicate points, symbolized the precision and skill required to capture the essence of their subjects. So, the next time you see a San rock painting, take a moment to appreciate not just the final product, but the effort, thought, and symbolism embedded in every brushstroke. Remember that these weren't just idle drawings, but carefully crafted pieces of living art, each with its own story to tell. Now, let's talk about the very essence of these paintings, the designs and symbols that have endured through millennia. The San weren't just artists, they were storytellers, mythographers, and philosophers, all rolled into one. Their rock art wasn't just decoration, it was a form of communication, a way to convey complex ideas and stories across generations. The human figures, for example, weren't just portraits, they were representations of deities, ancestors, or spirit beings. Each figure had its own significance, its own role in the San cosmology. Then there were the animal images, not just of prey animals, but also of mythical creatures from their folklore. These creatures often symbolized spiritual transformations or journeys into the unseen. And then there were the abstract designs, the geometric patterns that seemed to defy easy interpretation. These too played a vital role, serving as mnemonic devices to help recall complex narratives or as symbolic representations of abstract concepts. These paintings, therefore, weren't static images, but dynamic elements of a living tradition, passed down and interpreted anew by each generation. They were a key part of the San's oral history, serving as visual aids to stories that were told and retold around campfires under the vast African sky. As you look at these ancient paintings, ask yourself, what stories do they tell? What myths and legends come to life through these faded pigments? How do they reflect the San's deep connection to the land and the cosmos? And finally, what can they teach us about the human condition, about our relationship to the spiritual realm, and about the power of art to transcend time? In the end, the San rock art is a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of a people. Despite facing hardships and persecution, they managed to preserve their traditions, their beliefs, and their art. Their rock art is a silent witness to their struggles, a visual diary of a people in motion, always adapting, always surviving. By understanding and appreciating their art, we pay tribute to a way of life that has not just shaped Africa, but enriched the tapestry of human culture. So the next time you come across a San rock painting, don't just admire the artistry. Immerse yourself in the story. Let the faded pigments tell their tales, and let the echoes of their voices resonate in your soul. In the world of San rock art, symbols were never merely drawings. Each figure carried layers of meaning, both practical and spiritual, woven tightly together like sinew binding a bow. To modern eyes, the images may seem like simple animals and human figures, but to the San, they were the coded language of trance and survival. Foremost among these symbols was the eland, painted again and again across caves and cliffs. The eland was more than prey, it was a living embodiment of power. When a hunter or healer entered a trance, it was often the eland's spirit that guided them through. Its trembling body, sweating hide, and arching horns symbolized potency, the life force that flowed between the human and spirit worlds. To paint the eland was to summon strength, to remind the people that endurance and sacrifice were sacred bonds. Then came the shaman figures, sometimes painted with elongated limbs, bending in unnatural ways, or merging with the outline of an eland. These were not literal portraits, but depictions of transformation. A healer in trance could take on the body of the eland, the speed of the antelope, or even the vision of a bird soaring into the night. In the rock art, we glimpse these half-human, half-animal beings, not monsters, but travelers between worlds. They carried the people's pain, hunted for healing, and returned with gifts of knowledge. And then there was the serpent, winding across stone surfaces, its coils both protective and dangerous. In many traditions, snakes were tied to waterholes, the most sacred and precarious sources of life in the desert. To see a serpent in trance was to confront both death and renewal. Some believe the painted serpents were prayers for rain, binding communities to the unpredictable skies. Others see them as guardians of thresholds, warning that the path into the spirit world was not for the unprepared. These symbols, Lend, shaman, serpent, formed a triad of meaning. Together they spoke of survival and sacrifice, transformation and danger, continuity and change. They were not idle drawings, but living metaphors. For the San, art was language, ritual and memory, all carved into the earth itself. So when the people gathered before these paintings, they were not admiring art, but entering dialogue with ancestors. The rock was a page, the paint a voice, the symbols a guide to remembering who they were and what was sacred. We've been exploring rock art across the world, from the deserts of Australia to the mountains of Peru. But today we're going back to Africa. More specifically, the continent's oldest surviving rock paintings can be found in South Africa, created by the indigenous San people over 2,000 years ago. These images aren't just pretty pictures. They're a window into a world of trance, transformation and survival. Imagine you're standing in a vast cavern. The air is cool and damp. The walls adorned with paintings so old that the colors have faded to the hues of moonlight and rust. Here, in the heart of the Drakensberg Mountains, time seems to stand still, and you find yourself face to face with some of the oldest surviving figurative art on Earth. The San people are believed to have arrived in southern Africa around 2000 BCE, and they lived as hunter-gatherers for thousands of years. As their shamans walked the earth in trance, they saw spirits that became intertwined with the landscape. And when they emerged from their trances, they shared visions with others. Some saw a giant eland with spiraling horns, others witnessed a mystical serpent coiling around rocks. And together, they painted these visions onto cave walls and cliff faces, creating a visual language that captured the essence of their experiences. But what does it all mean? What secrets do these ancient paintings hold? And what can they teach us about the world, the universe, and everything in between? To unravel these mysteries, we must turn to the very core of the San worldview. At the center of their beliefs stood the eland, a majestic creature with sweeping horns that reached towards the sky. For the San, the eland wasn't just an ordinary animal. It was a conduit between the physical world and the realm of spirits. Its strength, agility, and endurance made it a formidable prey, but it was also revered as a symbol of resilience and sacrifice. After all, hunting the eland was no easy feat. It took stamina, skill, and unwavering focus, and when the San painted the image of the eland, they were invoking the very essence of these qualities within themselves. It was a reminder to endure through hardships, to remain steadfast in the face of adversity, and to embrace the challenges that life threw their way. Now, let's talk about another important symbol in San rock art, the human-animal hybrid. These mysterious figures are often depicted with elongated limbs, contorted poses, or merged with the outlines of other animals. Now, at first glance, they might seem strange or even unsettling, but they actually represent a profound connection between humans and the natural world. See, for the San, the boundaries between species weren't as rigid as we might think today. They believed that humans had the ability to transform into animals, embodying their spirits and harnessing their powers. These hybrid figures represent shamans who have entered a trance and taken on the characteristics of other creatures. Some scholars believe that these representations show shamans merging with the eland, becoming one with the powerful spirit of the beast. This transformation allowed them to tap into the eland's energy, enhancing their own abilities and connecting them to the spiritual realm. It was a way to transcend the limitations of the physical body and experience the world in a more profound and interconnected way. Now let's discuss a third intriguing symbol, the serpent. Snakes were prevalent in many cultures, often associated with wisdom, healing, and the underworld. For the sand serpents represented a potent force of nature, embodying both life and death. Their sinuous bodies slithering across rocks or intertwining around human figures symbolize the fluidity of existence and the cycle of renewal. Some researchers interpret the serpents as a representation of rain, bringing life to the arid landscape. Others view them as guardians of sacred spaces or protectors of the Sand People. The serpent's presence in the rock art suggests a deep reverence for the natural world and an acknowledgement of the interconnectedness of all living things. So these symbols, the eland, the shamanic hybrids, and the serpent, formed a rich tapestry of meaning and understanding for the Sand People. They wove these symbols into every aspect of their lives, from their art to their rituals to their daily interactions with the environment. And when you stand before these ancient paintings, you can almost feel the presence of these symbols pulsing through the cave walls. The sandrock paintings are not just beautiful works of art, they're a testament to the power of human imagination, the depths of spiritual experience, and the enduring connection between humans and the natural world. They offer us a glimpse into a way of life that has existed for thousands of years and remind us of the preserving cultural heritage for future generations. As you continue to explore the world of sandrock art, keep in mind that each stroke of the paintbrush tells a story, each symbol holds a deeper meaning, and every image is a portal to a different way of understanding the universe. You might be wondering why these paintings are so important and what they can teach us about ourselves. Well, here are 3 reasons why sandrock art matters and what we can learn from it. Firstly, sandrock art is a reminder of the importance of cultural diversity and respect for indigenous knowledge. These paintings are not just artifacts of the past. They're an integral part of the Sand People's cultural heritage and identity. By appreciating and understanding their art, we can learn about their way of life, their beliefs, and their connection to the land. It's a chance to challenge our own perspectives and broaden our understanding of the world. Secondly, sandrock art offers insights into the human experience. The themes of transformation, survival, and connection to nature resonate with us on a deeply human level. Whether we're contemplating the symbolism of the eland, the shamanic hybrids, or the serpent, we're confronted with universal questions about life, death, and the search for meaning. These paintings serve as a reminder that we're not alone in our struggles and that our experiences are part of a larger narrative. And thirdly, sandrock art is a testament to the power of art as a form of expression and communication. These paintings, created thousands of years ago, continue to captivate and inspire us today. They demonstrate the universality of art as a means of communicating ideas, emotions, and stories. By studying and appreciating sandrock art, we can learn new ways of seeing the world and expressing ourselves. Overall, sandrock art is a gift to humanity, offering us a window into a rich cultural heritage, a deeper understanding of the human experience, and a renewed appreciation for the power of art. Let these paintings be a source of inspiration, a catalyst for empathy, and a reminder of the interconnectedness of all life on Earth. When the sun dipped below the horizon, the desert cooled and the sand emerged from their rock shelters. Their day had been filled with the hunt or gathering, the preparation of food, the tending of children. But now there was magic in the air. The sky blazed with stars and the air grew still, a hush falling over the camp. It was then that the sand would sit together around a crackling fire, sharing stories of heroes and ancestors, singing songs as old as time, and dancing beneath the eternal stars. Through these traditions, memories were kept alive, and the spirits of their forefathers walked among them. Theirs was a life lived between the shelter of rocks and the boundless sky, bound together by the strength of storytelling. But there was another tradition, one that set them apart from all other tribes in southern Africa. A custom so unique it defied understanding and left outsiders baffled. For the San were also known as the Bushmen, a name given to them by the Khoi and later the European settlers, a term that carried a weight of scorn and prejudice. Yet it was this very label that held a key to their enduring legacy. For the San, the act of painting, or Bushman, as it was called in their language, was more than just decoration or self-expression. It was a ritual, a direct line to their history and a way to honor their ancestors. It was through Bushmen that the San believed they could connect with the spirits of those who had come before them, ensuring their wisdom and guidance continued to protect and sustain the tribe. In fact, Bushman was considered sacred, reserved only for the most skilled artists within the community. Individuals who had undergone rigorous training and demonstrated exceptional talent, these master painters were not merely artists, they were storytellers, historians, and spiritual guides, entrusted with preserving and transmitting the San's cultural heritage through every stroke of their paintbrush. And let's take a step back and appreciate the brilliance of this cultural practice. Imagine being part of a society where art isn't confined to galleries or museums, but is deeply ingrained in your everyday life, a living, breathing testament to your history and identity. That's what Bushman represented for the San. It wasn't just about creating pretty pictures. It was about keeping their traditions alive and passing them down to future generations. Now, let's add another layer to this already fascinating cultural practice. The San believed that the act of painting could actually influence the spiritual realm. By painting certain symbols and figures, they could invoke the presence of their ancestors and communicate with them directly. It was as if the paintings themselves were portals to the past, allowing the San to interact with the spirits of their forebears. Think about how profound this belief must have been for the San people. To them, Bushmen wasn't just a form of art. It was a way of connecting with their roots, of seeking guidance from those who had walked the same lands before them. It's a practice that highlights the deep spiritual connection the San had with their environment and their ancestors. In a world where traditions are often lost or forgotten, the San people's dedication to preserving their cultural heritage through Bushmen is nothing short of remarkable. It's a testament to the power of art and the importance of cultural continuity. As the San sat around their fire, the flames danced and flickered, casting strange shadows on the surrounding rocks. And in this flickering light, they saw more than just firelight. They saw a reflection of their history. Each log that crackled and popped echoed with the stories of their ancestors, linking their present to their past. The fire was more than just a source of warmth and light. It was a catalyst for storytelling, a way to keep their traditions and history alive. And at the heart of these stories were the rock paintings, the San's most enduring legacy. These paintings weren't just beautiful works of art, they were tangible links to their ancestors, a visual representation of their history and beliefs. The San believed that these paintings had the power to transcend time, to carry messages and stories across generations, allowing them to connect with their past and draw strength from it. Think about the significance of this belief for the San people. Their rock paintings weren't just decorations or historical relics. They were active participants in their religious practices, a way to bridge the gap between the living and the dead. It's a concept that challenges our own perspective on art and its role in society, forcing us to confront the idea that art can be more than just an aesthetic object. It can be a powerful tool for spiritual expression, a way to connect with something greater than ourselves. As the night wore on, the San sang songs and told stories, each one carrying a piece of their history and culture. The fire crackled, sending sparks spiraling up into the darkness. And with each spark, the spirits of their ancestors seemed to dance and play. The San believed that these ancestral spirits were present in everything around them, in the stars above, in the animals that roamed the plains, and especially in the flickering flames of their fire. To them, the fire wasn't just a source of warmth and light, it was a physical manifestation of their cultural and spiritual heritage. This belief is deeply ingrained in their culture, passed down through generations and reflected in their art, stories, and daily lives. It's a reminder that for the San, their past isn't something distant and forgotten, but something alive and vibrant, an integral part of their present and future. The next morning, the sun rose over the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. The San awoke, refreshed and ready to face the day, their spirits lifted by the stories and songs of the night before. They knew that they weren't just a small group of people living in the wilderness. They were part of a rich tapestry of history, a lineage that stretched back thousands of years. They understood that their survival depended on respecting and preserving their cultural heritage, on keeping the traditions and beliefs of their ancestors alive. And so they set about their daily tasks with renewed vigor, their hearts filled with pride and determination. The women gathered berries and herbs, their baskets slowly filling with the bounty of the land. The men sharpened their spears, ready for the hunt, and the children listened intently to the elders, soaking up the wisdom and stories of their culture. As they went about their lives, they couldn't help but feel a sense of connection to those who had come before them. They saw the spirits of their ancestors in the rustling leaves, in the babbling brook, and in the majestic animals that roamed the plains. And as the day wore on, the San prepared for another evening of storytelling and song around the campfire. They knew that it was through these traditions that their culture would thrive, that their history would be kept alive, and that their bond with their ancestors would remain unbroken. So, as the sun began its slow descent, the San packed up their belongings and made their way back to their shelters, eager to share the stories and traditions that had been passed down to them. They carried with them the weight of their history, but also the hope for their future, knowing that they were part of something bigger than themselves, something that had endured for generations and would continue to do so for many more to come. Beneath the star-studded sky, the San shared tales of bravery, love, and loss, their voices echoing with the emotions of their ancestors. The fire crackled, casting dancing shadows on the cave walls, creating an atmosphere of magic and mystery. Each story was a piece of their cultural heritage, a thread that wove together their history and their identity. The younger members of the tribe listened intently, their eyes wide with wonder and admiration. And as the night deepened, the San began to perform the ancient rituals that had been passed down to them for generations. They painted their bodies with intricate designs, each line and symbol representing a story, a memory, or a belief. They sang songs that had echoed through the ages, their voices blending together in a harmonious whole. And as they danced, their movements echoed those of their ancestors, expressing the joys, sorrows, and struggles that had shaped their history. It was a powerful reminder of their cultural heritage, a celebration of their identity, and a testament to their resilience. For the San people, these rituals weren't just empty traditions. They were a way of connecting with their past, honoring their ancestors, and preserving their cultural heritage. Through these practices, they kept the memories of their people alive, ensuring that their history would continue to shape their identity for generations to come. As the night drew to a close, the San looked up at the stars, feeling a sense of wonder and awe at the vastness of the universe and the place of their people within it. They knew that they were part of a rich tapestry of history, a lineage that stretched back thousands of years. They had endured countless challenges, but through it all, they had held on to their traditions and beliefs, their art, their stories, and their dances. And as long as they continued to pass these down to future generations, their cultural heritage would endure. So, as the fire burned low and the stars twinkled above, the Sand People felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. They knew that they were part of something bigger than themselves, something that had endured for generations and would continue to do so for many more to come. Here, beneath the watchful gaze of the eternal stars, we gather. Some nights, the fire is fueled by dry dung and wood, its light dancing wildly in the shape of crackling flames. Other nights, it glows steady and low, like the embers that glow deep within our bellies. Tonight, we sit in the quiet hush of the almost moonless desert. All around us, the Kalahari whispers secrets in the language of rustling sand and skittering insects. And yet, within the circle of our firelight, there is a different sound. The sound of voices weaving stories as old as time and as new as the rising sun. And now, before the darkness claims the last sliver of daylight, I invite you to join me in listening to these tales and learning about the people who call this harsh beauty home. The San, the First People. They are a source of wisdom, resilience, and connection to the land that feels as ancient as the red earth beneath our feet. To live in the Kalahari as a San hunter-gatherer was to accept that no one could endure alone. The desert was too vast, the dangers too constant, the hunger too sharp. Survival was not a matter of strength or wealth, but of cooperation. This truth shaped San society into one of the most egalitarian the world has ever known. There were no kings draped in jewels, no palaces guarded by soldiers. Power was carried lightly, and leadership was fluid. A man skilled in tracking might guide a hunt one day, while a woman with knowledge of roots and herbs might direct foraging the next. Decisions were made through conversation around the fire, where every voice had weight. Status was measured not in possessions, but in generosity, humility, and the ability to keep peace within the group. The San had a powerful way of balancing human pride. If a hunter brought back a great kill, the others might tease him, calling his meat thin or tough. This ritual of humility, known as insulting the meat, kept egos from swelling and ensured that no one believed themselves above the group. Sharing food was not an act of charity, was law, as natural as the desert wind. To hoard was to betray the community, and betrayal meant death in a land where survival depended on many hands. Every gesture, every ritual reinforced the same truth. We live together or we do not live at all. From mothers nursing not only their children, but also those of sisters or cousins, to elders ensuring the young learned stories of the hunt and of the stars, life was webbed in layers of giving and receiving. In this way, the San built a social fabric as strong as any palace wall, though theirs was stitched from song, laughter, and memory. And now, I'd like to tell you a story about a young boy named Kai and his grandfather, Ta, because their tale carries this truth like the wind carries seeds across the Kalahari. Long ago, when Kai was still learning the ways of the desert, his grandfather, Ta, the storyteller, would often take him on walks beneath the endless sky. They'd track the paths of antelopes or read the stories in the sand dunes. One evening, as they sat by the fire, the embers glowing like watchful eyes in the gathering dark, Kai asked Ta a question that had been bouncing inside him like a restless meerkat. Ta, he began, his voice echoing the crackling fire, why are we Sand people so different from the other tribes? They have chiefs and warriors and big villages, but we don't. We're just a bunch of families wandering in the desert. Tar paused, his gaze fixed on the dancing flames. When he spoke, his voice was the soft rustle of leaves in the Kalahari wind. Kai, my grandson, we are not just different. We are the way all people should be. It is the desert that teaches us this. You see, out here, it is not strength or wealth that keeps us alive, but our connections. Our survival depends on sharing, on every person contributing what they can and taking what they need. It is the circle of our people that protects us, that guides us, that lets us thrive in the heart of the desert. He reached out, tracing lines in the sand with a stick. Imagine if each of us were a single grain of sand. Kai, alone, we are icily blown away by the wind, scattered by the rain, lost in the vastness of the desert. But when we gather together, when we form a circle, we become a dune. We stand strong against the wind, our roots growing deep into the earth. It is our connection, Kai, that makes us strong, that turns us from grains of sand into mountains that touch the sky. But Kai was still puzzled. But Tar, sometimes being part of the circle is hard. Sometimes I want to be strong and brave, like the warriors of the other tribes. I want to have my own village and things that are mine alone. Tar nodded understandingly. Ah, Kai, to be strong is not always easy. To want more than our needs are natural. But remember, being strong does not mean being alone. Being part of the circle, being San, that is the greatest strength of all. It is in our connections, in our sharing, that we find our true power. He looked up at the canopy of stars, their light twinkling like a million helping hands. Look up there, Kai. The stars are connected, just like us. They form a circle that guides lost travelers, like a blanket that warms us on cold nights. It is in the web of connections that we find our strength, our wisdom, our very survival. As the night deepened and the stars climbed higher, Kai pondered his grandfather's words. He thought of the times when the community came together to mourn, to celebrate, to hunt, to gather berries. He remembered the strength he felt when everyone pitched in to help a family in need. When the circle of the sand stood strong against the challenges of the Kalahari, in the soft glow of the firelight, surrounded by the comforting sounds of the desert, Kai realized that his way of life, the way of the San, was not just a way of survival. It was a way of thriving. The Kalahari had taught them that true strength lay not in isolation, but in the circle of their people. And so, as the years passed, and Kai grew older, he carried this wisdom in his heart, sharing it with his own grandchildren around their fires, keeping the spirit of the San alive in the vast expanse of the Kalahari. Now, as the flames dance and the stars shine above our heads, I ask you to reflect on the lessons shared by the San. What truths have you discovered in your journey through life? What stories have shaped your understanding of the world and your place in it? Share your thoughts, for in the sharing, they become part of our collective wisdom, strengthening our bonds like the threads of a weaver's loom. We will continue our journey tomorrow, and I hope you will be there to join us. Until then, let the wisdom of the sand fill your thoughts, just as the moonlight bathes the Kalahari in its gentle glow. Sleep well, and may your dreams be filled with the echoes of laughter and the warmth of shared stories. And remember, the desert whispers its secrets to those who listen closely. Are you hearing it? Can you feel the heartbeat of the Kalahari beneath you? It's a rhythm as old as time, a song as timeless as the stars above. In the heart of the Kalahari Desert, this isn't a story, it's survival. It's the story of the San, the first people, and how they wove a world where dependence became connection, where hunger wasn't just for food, but for belonging. When the sun beat down on the Kalahari and the wind whispered tales of thirst, the San knew they weren't just battling nature, They were battling solitude. To survive, they didn't need only the food that the land provided or the water that the earth shared. They needed something more, something invisible, something that wove them together. They needed each other. A man might journey to another camp, his wife's family may be 30 kilometers away. He'd bring a gift, a necklace of ostrich eggshell beads, a silent promise written in shells. Months later, perhaps years, the bond would be returned, not with money's worth, but with meat from the hunt, a newly sharpened tool, or simply the assurance of a fire's welcome by another's fire. The San didn't have banks or ledgers. Their ties were kept alive by memory, reciprocity, and respect. It was a language without words, a contract etched onto hearts. It was a way of saying, you are part of us, and we are part of you. Theirs wasn't a world where you could just pull away. If you had nothing else, you had to have each other. This wasn't just an act of kindness or a social custom. It was a pact. It bound the San to the rhythms of giving and receiving. It was a commitment to remember who you were, to keep your place in the web of life. And when the web threatened to unravel, they had ceremonies to mend it. When conflict stirred, a hunter's quarrel, jealousy, resentment boiling over, the group would gather. There were rituals to cool the flames of anger, ceremonies to replace the language of fists with the language of understanding. Storytelling nights became forums, laughter became medicine, and the elders, their faces like wrinkled maps of the desert, guided them with parables. It was a delicate dance, a balancing act, because in the unforgiving Kalahari, division meant vulnerability. Then there were the healing dances, trance dances. They'd gather in circles under the Milky Way, the drumbeat echoing the ancient pulse of the earth. As the music rose, the dancers swayed, stamping their feet into the sand, sending up plumes of dust, their painted faces glowing in the firelight. It was as if they were trying to dig their souls into the earth, pulling up whatever darkness was choking them. In those moments, anger dissolved into the rhythm, jealousy faded into the drumbeat, and resentment turned to dust in the wind. Even the act of smoking pipes together held meaning. The San would sit in circles, the rising smoke carrying their unspoken words into the sky, while below they settled back into peace. This wasn't just about coexistence, it was about interdependence. You can't understand this unless you experience it. You can't grasp it if you haven't felt it. Imagine surviving in a world where everyone looked out only for themselves. Your neighbor could be dying of thirst, but why should you risk your own life for them? Why should you share what little you have, knowing tomorrow you might need it all yourself? It's the logic of the world we often live in, a world where you're constantly hustling, where trust is something you pay for, where relationships are transactional and everything has a price tag. But the San knew that harmony wasn't a luxury, it was a necessity. A group divided could not survive the harshness of the Kalahari, and so they lived with the discipline of forgiveness, the ritual of sharing, and the ever-present reminder that the desert gave nothing freely. Only unity made life possible. Theirs was a world held together by invisible threads, the thread of trust, the thread of obligation, the thread of belonging. These threads were woven into the fabric of their lives, connecting them, binding them, reminding them that in the unforgiving embrace of the Kalahari, they were not just surviving. They were thriving in a world where dependence was the highest form of independence. Let's pause here for a moment. The fire crackles, casting dancing shadows on the sand faces around me. The old woman speaks, her voice raspy but strong. She tells stories of the first people, of how they survived in the harshness of the Kalahari, how they hunted with poisoned arrows and gathered wild fruits and vegetables. how they lived in harmony with nature and respected all living things. Her eyes twinkle as she speaks of the trickster, Coyote, how he would play pranks on the other animals, and sometimes even on the humans. The younger ones laugh, their faces lit up by the fire, while the older ones nod in understanding. After her story, there is a moment of silence, a moment to reflect on the lessons of the past and the challenges of the present. The Sandmen speak up, their voices deep and resonant. They talk about the changes that have come to their way, the diseases brought by outsiders, the loss of their traditional lands, and the struggle to maintain their way of life. But their voices don't break. They speak with the strength of their ancestors, the strength that has kept them alive for generations. They tell me about the government's attempts to force them into modern housing, to abandon their rondavels, the traditional beehive-shaped huts made of wood and thatch. At first, they resisted, but then they realized that they could adapt their traditions to the new circumstances. Today, some of their rondavels have corrugated iron roofs, a nod to both tradition and practicality. And yet, despite these changes, their indomitable spirit remains. They still hunt and gather, still value community, and still honor their ancestors. I am humbled by their resilience, their ability to adapt without losing their identity. Now it's my turn to ask questions, to learn from these wise people who have lived so closely with nature for so long. I want to know more about their beliefs, their customs, and their hopes for the future. The old woman smiles, her wrinkles deepening around her eyes. She says that the most important thing for the San is to live in harmony with nature and with each other. She says that they believe that everything is connected, that they are all part of the same web of life, and that they must respect and care for each other and the environment. As our conversation continues, I feel a sense of peace settle over me. I feel a connection to these people, to their way of life, and to the ancient wisdom they hold. I realize that there is much I can learn from them, much that I can take back to my own life and share with others. For 2 days, I continue to learn from the San, to observe their daily life, and to participate in their activities whenever possible. I learn how they make tools from natural materials, how they prepare their food, and how they tell stories around the campfire. I also learn about their beliefs, about the origins of life, and their respect for all living things. I see how they treat the animals they hunt with reverence, how they use every part of the animal, and how they give thanks for the animal's sacrifice. I witness their deep connection to the land and how they rely on it for their survival. I learn about their knowledge of plants and how they use them for food, medicine, and other purposes. I am amazed at the depth of their knowledge and their ability to live in harmony with the natural world. As my time with the San comes to an end, I feel a deep sense of gratitude for the opportunity to learn from them. I say goodbye to them with heavy heart, knowing that I will miss their company and their wisdom. But I take with me the lessons I have learned and the memories I have made. I carry with me the lessons of living in harmony with nature, with oneself, and with others. The San have taught me that we are all connected and that we must respect and care for each other and the environment. They have shown me that we can live in peace, and that we can find solutions to our problems through cooperation and understanding. The San have taught me that happiness is not a destination, but a way of life. It is a way of life that values simplicity, authenticity, and connection. They have taught me to appreciate the beauty of the present moment and to find joy in the simple things in life. In the unforgiving expanse of the Kalahari Desert, there existed a people who embraced equality not just as an ideal, but as a way of life. They were the San, and their existence was a testament to the power of community in the face of adversity. Yet their path to equality was far from easy. It wasn't a simple matter of everyone being the same. It was a delicate balance, one that had to be constantly negotiated, tested, and renewed. For the San, equality meant more than just an absence of hierarchy. It meant actively ensuring that no one rose too high or sank too low. And they achieved this through a unique set of practices and beliefs that turned their social structure into a rich tapestry of give and take, challenge and acceptance. Imagine, if you will, a small band of San people gathered around a flickering campfire, their faces illuminated by the dancing flames. Among them is a renowned hunter, boasting of his skills and the size of his recent kill. Now, for the San, such braggadocio could quickly turn into a dangerous liability. No one, not even the most skilled or successful hunter, was immune to the subtle social pressures that kept their society cohesive. As the hunter recounted his tale, the others in the group began to stir, not with animosity, but with a playful yet firm intent to keep their esteemed hunter in check. One might begin to laugh, derisively questioning the veracity of the boast. Another might mock the hunter's supposed prowess, suggesting that his skills were more bark than bite. Or perhaps someone would playfully minimize the importance of the hunt, claiming the animal slain was hardly worth the effort. Whatever the tactic, the end result was the same. The hunter was gently but firmly reminded of his place within the group. Such behavior was not a sign of cruelty, but of discipline, a testament to the San belief that no one individual should overshadow the collective whole. It was a delicate dance of give and take, a social negotiation that ensured nobody grew too big for their boots. But it wasn't just about keeping egos in check. This ritual of insulting the meat, as it were, served a deeper purpose. It was a constant reminder that no one, regardless of their status or achievements, could ever truly rise above the group. Arrogance, selfishness, or pride, qualities that could fracture a society, were kept at bay through this time-honored practice. For the San, life in the Kalahari was a constant negotiation with the elements. Hunting was not just a means of sustenance, it was a test of skill and endurance. A successful hunt could feed the group, but an unsuccessful one could threaten their very survival. In such a precarious existence, solidarity and cooperation were not just desirable, they were essential. Imagine the scenario. The San are preparing for a crucial hunt. Each member of the group knows that their role, whether tracking, setting snares, or guarding the camp, is vital to their success. Yet, despite the seriousness of their task, they make time for humor. Jokes are cracked, playful jabs are traded, and laughter echoes across the arid landscape. In that moment, their shared humanity, their common purpose, and their trust in one another shine through. And when the time comes to part ways, each hunter disappearing into the vast emptiness of the desert, they do so knowing that their bonds are strong enough to withstand the test of separation. They know that when they return, their laughter will resume, their stories will be shared, and their roles will seamlessly reintegrate into the tapestry of their collective existence. The Kalahari Desert, with its shifting sands and unforgiving terrain, is a harsh mistress. It demands respect, resilience, and resourcefulness from those who dare to call it home. The San, however, did not just survive in this unforgiving environment, they thrived. Their intimate knowledge of the desert, passed down through generations, allowed them to navigate its challenges, from locating hidden water sources to predicting the desert's capricious weather patterns. Yet their understanding of the desert went beyond mere practicality. It was interwoven with a deep sense of spirituality and reciprocity. They recognized the desert's rhythms, its moods, and its limitations, and they lived in harmony with it. This profound connection enabled them to extract what they needed for their survival without exploiting or depleting the land's resources. Picture this, a young Sandman, eager to prove himself, sets off on a hunting expedition. His heart pounds with excitement, his eyes sharp with focus. As he tracks his prey, he does so with reverence, recognizing that the animal he pursues is a creature as deserving of respect and dignity as he is. When he makes his kill, it is not celebrated with boisterous glee, but with quiet gratitude. He understands that he has taken a life, and he does not take that responsibility lightly. In the San worldview, everything is interconnected. The hunter's actions today will affect not just him, but his community and the desert's delicate balance tomorrow. This philosophy extended to every aspect of their lives, from gathering wild fruits and vegetables to caring for their children and resolving conflicts. Everything was approached with a sense of balance and consideration. Let's take, for instance, the collection of berries. A bountiful patch is discovered, and while the group's immediate need might be to gather as much as possible, they resist the urge to overharvest. They pick only what they need, leaving plenty for the desert's other inhabitants and for future gatherings. This act of restraint ensures the berries will continue to thrive, providing sustenance for many seasons to come. When conflicts arose, and conflicts often do within any community, the San did not shy away from addressing them. Instead, they confronted issues head-on, seeking not to punish but to heal. Mediation was often sought, not to impose a solution, but to guide the quarreling parties towards a resolution that honored the needs and perspectives of all involved. Imagine a situation where two members of the San community, perhaps a hunter and a gatherer, find themselves at odds over the division of resources. The hunter, accustomed to the thrill of the chase and the satisfaction of a full belly, might inadvertently come across as insensitive to the gatherer's concerns about sustainability. Tensions rise, tempers flare, and the delicate fabric of their community seems threatened. In such moments, a respected elder or a skilled mediator would step forward. They wouldn't take sides, nor would they impose a predetermined solution. Instead, they would guide the two parties into a space of open dialogue, encouraging each to express their needs, their fears, and their perspectives. The goal was not to assign blame or to seek retribution, but to understand. Through this process, they would help the quarreling parties to see the situation through each other's eyes, fostering empathy and understanding where there was only division before. This approach to conflict resolution was not merely a social convention. It was a testament to the San's deep understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. They knew that their own well-being was inextricably linked to the well-being of their community and the health of their environment. By resolving conflict in a way that honored these connections, the San ensured that the bonds that held their society together remained strong, allowing them to face the challenges of the Kalahari Desert as one. The San people of the Kalahari Desert offer us a profound lesson in the art of living. In a world that often glorifies individualism and material gain, they stood firm on their commitment to equality, balance, and harmony. Their story serves as a beacon, reminding us of the strength that comes from unity, the wisdom in living in balance with nature, and the importance of treating every member of our community with dignity and respect. In their timeless philosophy, we find a mirror reflecting our own humanity, challenging us to confront our biases, to appreciate our interdependence, and to strive for a world where everyone can thrive, not in isolation, but in the warm embrace of a supportive and equal community. And as we reflect on their legacy, let us ask ourselves, what aspects of their philosophy resonate with you the most? And so, as the fire fades low and the desert night deepens, we leave the San beneath their endless sky. We have walked with them through hunger and thirst, felt the weight of poisoned thorns and the joy of a shared meal. We have entered the trance of their dances, crossed the painted caves of their ancestors, and sat in the circle of their equality. Fragile, yet enduring. Their world was not easy, but it was whole. Every action, from a child's laughter to a hunter's step, was bound to the rhythms of survival and spirit. To be San was to live in dialogue with the earth, to listen to silence, and to honor life by sharing it. Sharing what? The knowledge gleaned from generations of living in harmony with the land. The medicinal secrets held within plants, the language whispered between predator and prey. Sharing stories around the fire, stories that carry the heartbeat of their history and the echo of their resilience. For every scar on a rock monolith tells a tale of their endurance. Every groove worn into the earth by a sacred dance is a testament to their faith. Their world was harsh, yes, but it was full. It brimmed with the quiet satisfaction of a life well lived, in tune with the land, in step with the seasons, sustained by the bounty of the earth and fortified by the strength of community. As the final embers glow and the desert night envelops us, let these stories, these echoes of the San people, resonate within you. Let their quiet strength, their intimate knowledge of the world around them, be a reminder to us all. Let their footsteps on the sands of time serve as a guide, urging us to tread more lightly, to listen more deeply, and to share more openly. Now, under this vast canopy of stars, let us reflect on the profound impact of these resilient nomads, the San people. Their lives, though vastly different from our own, offer a mirror to our shared humanity, reflecting the beauty of simplicity, the power of community, and the unwavering strength of the human spirit. But our journey tonight is not over. Oh no, not by a long shot. The spirits of the San people invite us to become storytellers ourselves, to carry their legacy in our hearts and to share their stories with the world. It is a call to action, a challenge to become agents of change, weaving the threads of understanding, respect, and empathy into the fabric of our global community. Let us not be mere spectators in this grand theater of life, but active participants, embracing the lessons of the San and applying them to our own lives. Can we, like the San, find harmony in simplicity? Can we, like the San, nurture deep bonds of community? And can we, like the San, draw strength from the wisdom of our ancestors and the rhythms of the natural world? These questions echo within us, urging us to align our actions with our deepest values and to live lives that honor the interconnectedness of all beings. So, as we continue our journey, let us carry the torch of the San people's legacy, illuminating the path toward a more sustainable, compassionate, and harmonious world. And when the time comes for us to rest, may we, like the San, find solace in the embrace of the earth, knowing that our story is part of the greater narrative of humanity's enduring spirit. This is the end of our journey through the Kalahari, but it is not an ending, rather a beginning of understanding, a beginning of change, and a beginning of our own stories in the grand tapestry of human experience. You are now under baobab skies,